If you are an aspiring web developer, maybe you're wondering what the latest trends in web development are. What's the hottest new framework? What to look for when designing new web pages? What skills will give you an advantage in the job market? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the most awesome in-demand trends and skills a web developer must have in 2021. These are skills that you should watch out for. First up, we have single page applications. Again, they're not something new. It's just a way of writing web applications that React, Vue, AngularJS have all made it very popular to write web applications this way. And in 2021, the trend will continue. What do single page applications give us? They guarantee a great UI UX, all right? You don't have to refresh the page to fetch more data. It helps in saving bandwidth on the long run. Users don't have to download entire pages. They can just download whatever small part of the web page is required to build. All right, so first up, we have single page applications. They're not a new way to write web applications. Actually, we've been doing this for a while now, but the trend continues strongly in 2021 with a lot more companies investing heavily into rewriting their front ends or writing new projects as single page applications. Ton of benefits, not to mention that all the most popular client-side frameworks, front-end frameworks, help you build single page applications with very little ease, with a lot of ease. So you have Angular, you have Vue.js, you have React. They all help you build these beautiful UI, UX. They help you save bandwidth. It's easier to get set up. It's easier to debug using fantastic dev tools that Chrome has. These single page applications often encourage a very API oriented design, which is another trend that is going to be pretty strong in 2021. And you have the most obvious benefit of these applications being cached. So single page applications, a lot of the big applications that you know of are all single page applications. It's been around for a while, but the trend is going to continue really, really strongly. So you should invest in learning one of these three big ones. A lot of the jobs that you find in the market right now are all React.js oriented. So if I had to pick one amongst all the variety of frameworks that you have to create single page applications, I'd go with React.js. Well, next up, we have progressive web applications. Oh, this is different. I'm not sure if you've heard of this before, but basically it's a way of making web applications that behave almost like native Android or iOS applications. All right. So traditionally web applications, you kind of interact with them through a browser. So you'd open up Chrome, go in there, open up the website and use the web app, right? But with progressive web apps, you can actually install them in your Android or iOS phone, just like you would do to a normal web app, to a normal native app, right? These progressive web applications are opening up a whole world of possibilities. All right, you get file system access, media controls, app badging, full clipboard support, and a bunch of other APIs that are being opened up to people who develop progressive web applications, right? So your web apps can now use native functionality, so Android or iOS specific functionality. You can start using in your web applications. These tend to be really, really small, right? So unlike a 60 MB, 70 MB native application, native Android app, you can have a progressive web app that's probably in the order of megabytes, like 1 megabyte, 2 megabytes at worst, right? These are also reliable. It's offline first, which means most web applications that you have so far, if the internet goes, the web app stops working. But that doesn't happen with things like Google Docs. For that matter, it doesn't happen with things like Twitter either. Well, guess what? Twitter is a full-fledged PWA. Google Docs makes heavy use of service workers and stuff to make sure that it still works while you're offline. All right. So PWAs are gaining a lot of popularity because it's just simpler for a user to go to a website and install, instead of having to go to the Play Store, download stuff. You can just go to a website, and if you can see on the screen, this is how Twitter asks you to install its PWA. right? So if you had to master, or okay, not master, but if you had to really invest in picking something new up, a new way of writing web applications, PWAs would be a pretty great place to start. Next up, we have accelerated mobile pages, AMP. You may not have heard of this, but you most certainly have already used it. All right. If you've gone to any news website in the last a couple of years, I guess, you'll notice how fast they load. They load almost instantly, right? But they're also not as feature rich, like they don't have complex animations and stuff, but it's very, very, fast to just read the entire article, right? It loads really quickly. There's a technology that powers all of that, and that tech is called accelerated mobile pages, AMP. All right. So we can go into a little bit depth about how AMP works once you visit the website that I've listed in this video, amp.dev. I'll leave the links down below. So in case you're interested, go ahead and check that out. You can use this sort of a framework. All right. AMP is basically a framework for how you want to write your web application so that they can load really quickly. They're smooth to use and deliver a very fast, very reliable user experience. People are using it for delivering things like news articles for sure. You can also deliver AMP ads and AMP email, apparently. Again, I'm not an expert in all of this, but I am very, very excited to see what new developments happen in this space, considering in India, we don't really have a lot of fast, high-speed internet. So the simpler we can make our web pages, the more easily people can load it, the quicker it loads, the better it is for all of us. Another trend that I'm pretty excited about is voice commerce. All right. Now, e-commerce has taken off big time in India. All right. I'm pretty sure for all of you watching this video right now, if you were to list down the number of e-commerce websites you know, it might just fill a few pages in your notebook. All right. And that's the thing. It's become really, really easy to set up an e-commerce website now. The more recent trends that are emerging around these e-commerce websites is this very specific thing called voice commerce. All right. And I don't think it was pioneered by Amazon, but certainly Amazon Alexa, if you've heard of it, they're doing pretty great stuff in this space. All right. So you can tell Alexa to, hey, just put something in my cart, or, I want a subscription to surf detergent, things that you can do with your voice. All right. And it leads to such a beautiful experience, right? You don't have to go to a web page, go through 5 different clicks, repeat the same steps again and again. Stuff that you already know, like, hey, I want this, I want that. You can just tell Alexa, or for that matter, any of these other wonderful services that are popping up in this space. You basically talk. It's like an assistant, right? A voice-based assistant that recognizes what it is that you want to buy and just makes the entire process really, really simple for you. This is going to kick off big time in 2021 with a lot of developers trying to write apps for home automation systems like Alexa, or the thing you have with Google Home. This is going to take off big time. I'm really excited to see what else comes up in the e-commerce space, but voice commerce, sure, keep an eye out. This is a pretty interesting development. All right. So it's a whole suite of low code, no code tools. All right. So what this basically means is that people don't want it to be so hard to set up websites anymore. All right. People don't want you to write complex code to be able to integrate. Suppose you want chat, or you want beautiful illustrations, or you just want to make an API, but you really don't know how to write any programming. All right. You don't know any programming at all. So there's a whole host of tools that are coming up in this space that make it very easy. It's like a plug and play solution. You go to the website, you tweak a few knobs here and there, and there you go. It becomes really easy to add something like chat to your application. This is going to take off big time in 2021 and beyond, making it easier for people to add stuff to their web applications. But whenever you hear the word no code, be very, very suspicious, all right? Because more often than not, what happens is that you need to know a little bit of programming, but if you don't know that much, then it becomes very hard to mix and match all of these little tools, right? For instance, one pretty great tool is called Undraw. So for people like me who are not very good at art, but we still want beautiful illustrations on our web pages, I can go over to this website, select my brand color. So I've selected the Edyst brand color here, and it kind of generates a bunch of images for me. So I can pick and choose whatever it is that I want to put in my website. So this is a pretty good low-code tool. Then you have Airtable, which is something that we use extensively at Edyst. You can set up it's like Microsoft Excel on steroids. Okay, it lets you do so much more than Microsoft Excel, but makes it just as easy, right? So some people are trying to use Airtable as a way to build APIs, and while Airtable is all great, if you have a very specific use case, maybe it might not work. Still, that being said, for a lot of use cases, these low code, no code tools are great to get started with, all right? But the real fun comes when you already have some experience, you've picked up a programming language, you know, a couple of way to write backend APIs, a way to write some front end, and then you mix and match these other small tools that people have already made for you into one beautiful product. I'm going to wrap up this video with a couple of more design-oriented trends that you're going to see a lot in 2021, or at least I hope that they're going to pick up big time in 2021. There's this way of designing pages called Motion UI. All right, it's not a framework like Bootstrap or React. It's not a framework, but it's a set of ideas. It's a set of guides on how you want to build your entire user experience. All right. For instance, take a look at this GIF over here. Suppose you wanted to make something suppose you wanted to make a phishing app. What would be better? Static, straightforward login page, or would you rather have something like this? Very visual, a little bit of animation here and there. Again, it might seem complex, but it's actually not. You know the basics of HTML, and if you're thorough with your CSS, there's already a ton of libraries that help you build great animations. All right, so pick up CSS, pick up a couple of animation oriented libraries, and you're already on your way to building beautiful motion UI powered experiences and applications for your users. Dark mode. Don't we love dark mode? It's come on WhatsApp last year, and everyone that I know was super excited for it. We use dark mode almost all the time. I know almost every app on my Android phone. I kind of use dark mode, and I've all long wondered, like, why do we use it? I used to go for reasons like, oh, it saves battery, it saves reduces eye strain, but low key, I think it just looks amazing. It looks fantastic. There's something about a darker color palette that makes it very, very attractive to a user, right? A lot of applications don't start off with dark mode, and it's not a very easy thing to add to a web app. So people who are proficient with it, people who have built a few web applications that show that have 2 or 3 of these modes, like a light mode in the day and a dark mode at night, those people are going to find that companies are just going to rush to hire them. All right, because this is something that a lot of companies have tried to implement. WhatsApp for sure, Twitter, one of the earliest dark mode web apps that I've used. And yeah, we're trying something at Edyst as well. So stay tuned. If you guys complain about not having a dark mode long enough at Edyst, then I'm pretty sure we're going to fast track this. But we're looking into it as well. And I'm pretty sure our students will appreciate us having a dark mode. By the way, if you haven't seen it already, I've done a series of videos on how to add dark mode to a WhatsApp web client that we were trying to create using nothing but beginner level HTML and CSS. The link to that dark mode series of videos is down below. So if you're feeling adventurous, if you feel like you want to go ahead and build something with dark mode yourself, or you just want to see how it looks like, how front-end developers implement dark mode, do check us out on those videos. Show us some love, like, share, and subscribe, and so on. A bunch of other trends that I will not really go into, all right, but they are picking up steam. UI components being rendered on the server. Remember how I spoke about single page applications? Those are all about UI components being rendered on the device, like in the browser or on your phone and so on. But there's this recent trend where people are trying to keep all the benefits of single page applications, but also offload some of the rendering related stuff to the server. So a lot of recent advances have been made in this space. There is Hotwire by Basecamp, and then there's that big announcement that the React team had, I think in December, where they announced React server components, which would be a pretty fantastic way to write React. So you're not just writing React for your browser, you're also writing, some part of your React application is going to be rendered on the server. So it's a nice hybrid approach. It's not a single page application. It's not a fully server rendered application, but some sort of hybrid in between, right? That is going to pick up steam in 2021 as more UI frameworks kind of experiment with how to get that out. GraphQL adoption is going to increase. This is something that's been going on since 2018, guys. GraphQL has been picking up steam. And a lot of other big companies are investing heavily into it. So the standard way of writing APIs that we know and love, say RESTful APIs, they're not going away anywhere. It's just that a lot more companies will start experimenting with how to write GraphQL powered APIs. Things like image compression and optimization are a huge deal right now. A lot of new formats of how to serve images have come up. There's AVIF by the AVI group. And there's WebP by Chrome, which is finding support in pretty much every major browser. A lot of the data that you consume when you visit a web page goes into downloading images. All right, so if you're able to compress it, optimize it, if you're on desktop, serve a bigger image. If you're on a mobile, serve a smaller image. If you're able to do stuff like that, your users will absolutely love you for it. Lesser data, happier users. Faster web pages, right? And finally, WebAssembly. This is something I'm going to let you go ahead and figure out because again, might be too advanced, but basically up until now, if you wanted to write web applications that run inside a browser, your only hope is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? You can't really write a web application using C++, or at least the front end part of it, the thing that runs in the browser. You couldn't write it before using things like C++ or I don't know, pick your favorite programming language, right? But once WebAssembly picks up a lot more support, there's a lot more clarity around how to do this. You'll be able to use your favorite programming language to write fast, efficient code that can run inside a browser. This is going to unlock a wave of possibilities for what kind of applications can run in a browser. The more complex ones that you see, for which you have to install a desktop app, stuff like that, you will start being implemented in a web browser setting as well. So you can use Chrome to optimize images. You could use Chrome to have a fully featured client, like a video conferencing client without the lag, without the high CPU usage, and so on. So WebAssembly is another big technology to look out for. But here's what I want to leave you guys with. All right, focus on the fundamentals, not so much on the trends. If you notice throughout this entire video, I've been telling you, hey, this is a really nice thing that people are going to use heavily in 2021, but it's been around since 2017. Oh, single page applications, we've been doing it since 2011. Progressive web applications, we've been doing it since 2017. All right, all of these things that we're talking about, dark mode, motion UI, it's not like they've been invented in 2020 December and you have to pick it up in 2021, right? These are all disciplines that are maturing, that are evolving over time, and a lot of people are writing a lot of web applications these days, right? So what I would advise you is to focus on the fundamentals of building a web application, because those fundamentals, believe it or not, have not changed at all in the last 10 odd years. If you want to write a single page application, you pick up any client side framework. All right, Angular, React, or Vue.js, they're different in name and maybe a little bit of syntax, but they do exactly the same thing. If you want to write a backend API, right, you use Flask, you can use Node.js, you can use a bunch of these other libraries. But guess what, guys? They've been around for a while now. So just focus on the fundamentals, not so much on the trends. What was relevant in 2018 will be relevant in 2021. At Edyst, we run a webmaster bootcamp where we teach people how to pick up the fundamentals of web development. So go to the link shown in the video. The link is also in the description below. Sign up for our twice a week doubt clearing sessions, 10 full stack projects, 10 front end, 3 full stack projects, and about 500 plus exercises with which we will help you learn front end, back end, databases, basically anything and everything that you need to get a web application up and running. This is me, Abhinandan, signing off. Keep these trends in mind when you're picking up something new to learn. But remember, the fundamentals are not going anywhere. They haven't changed in a long time. They will not change in a long time. So the more you invest in picking up fundamental skills, the more future proof or job ready you will remain. Frameworks will come and go. Your basic fundamentals will not change. See you all in the next video.